Hundreds of Second Amendment advocates and gun control supporters took to the streets at a gun show, a demonstration and counter-demonstration. It was in Saratoga Springs, New York. The organizers say, though, that despite all the protests, a record number of people showed up at that gun show. That as Senator Schumer sent letters to major gun retailers asking them stop selling auto or assault weapons until Congress discusses gun regulation. All right, time for our next guest. He's the Director of Communications for Gun Owners of America. Now, that's an organization that said, and I'm quoting directly now, gun control supporters have the blood of little children on their hands. Federal and state laws combine to ensure that no teacher, no administrator, no adult had a gun at the Newtown school where the children were murdered. Joining us now is Erich Pratt. Erich is the son of Larry Pratt, the man who actually made that statement earlier. Mr. Pratt Sr. is ill with the flu, so we're joined by his son, Erich Pratt. So welcome to the program. Good to have you here, sir.
Stuart, thanks so much for having me.
I got it put it to you, though, that statements like the one made by your father they feed public indignation. They make an executive order getting round Congress more likely. I think, with respect, sir, I think you and your organization have played into the hands of the gun control people.
Oh, Stuart, I totally disagree. This is all about never let a crisis go to waste, as Rahm Emanuel used to say. I mean, there is such a hypocrisy up here in Washington, where I'm sitting right now, where in the 15 or so square block of Capitol Hill, there's 1,800 Capitol Hill police to protect our Congress, and yet how many armed adults are there to protect our school children?
That's really... I take your point, Erich, and I've heard the argument. But the statement that gun control people have the blood of little children on their hands, that is inflammatory. Anybody who slices it, that is.
Here's why. Adults are able to carry legally almost everywhere in this country. They can carry in most places to work, they can carry to supermarkets, stores, churches in many cases, and yet if they're a public school teacher or administrator and they go to work, they're banned. They cannot carry there, and that's what, you know, we wouldn't do this with our homes. Stuart, I don't care how anti-gun somebody is, they're not going to put a sign in front of their home saying there are no guns in this home, and yet that's exactly what we've done to our schools, which makes them magnets now for criminals who you know, they don't go to police stations, they go to the schools.
Okay, I'm hearing you, and your argument is valid. I just think that the language you use to back up that argument is a little over the top. But let me put it to you like this. If everybody walked around with a gun all the time, do you think there'd be less gun deaths?
Well, I can tell you where we've tried the opposite approach, like in Washington, D.C., where they banned guns, it became the murder capital. Compare that
the question
to a place... Wait, I'm answering your question.
Go ahead.
I'm answering your question. Like Kennesaw, Georgia, where they've actually mandated everybody to have a gun in their home, and crime precipitously fell in Kennesaw, Georgia. Now, we wouldn't say that everybody has to own or carry a firearm, but we would say if you're a law-abiding citizen, you have the right to do so, and that's really what's at stake here, where the White House is trying to insert itself and tell people what they can use, what they need, or what they don't need. And we would tell President Obama and Vice President Biden, we have a Bill of Rights, not a Bill of Needs.
Okay, at the end of the day, let's advance the argument. We hear from the Vice President tomorrow, and I think I would not be surprised to see the President use an executive order to go around Congress, certainly in the area of universal background checks, for example. I think that is very likely to happen. And I think that you, with what I'm calling an inflammatory statement, may have encouraged public opinion to go so against you that they are for the President in this instance. You don't think so?
Stuart, with all due respect, I think that's ridiculous. I think they've been waiting for their opportunity. They did not campaign on gun control, but as Rahm Emanuel used to say, you never let a crisis go to waste. Sadly, there was a tragedy up there, and look, my heart goes out to them. I've lost a child, Stuart, so I know the pain, but I'll tell you what, if I had a child in that school, I would have wanted a teacher or a principal to be able to stop that guy, because that's the only way you stop them. Look, background checks didn't stop Adam Lanza from getting a gun. He stole them.
Look, I'm with you. I've got to stop it here because I'm flat out of time. But Erich Pratt, we appreciate you coming on the show. Good to hear from you. Thanks very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you, Stuart.